Hello and welcome. This is Nta Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. Now, the history of industrialized nations is largely traced to steel development. Iron and steel is believed to be the backbone of industrialization. Now, countries like Japan, USA, India and South Korea are beneficiaries of steel development in growing their gross domestic product, GDP. It's a widely held view that any nation that overlooks steel development might just be a consumer nation and a dumping ground for developed economies of the world. Nigeria, in its quest for technological advancement, came up with the Ajaokuta Steel Project. Now, work on the company commenced under the administration of Alhaji Shehu Shagari in 1979, and by the time of its commissioning in 83, the project had achieved about 95% completion rate. However, the Ajaokuta steel plant envisaged to produce more than 1.3 million metric tons of liquid steel and generate hundreds of thousands of jobs has been embroiled in controversy. The issues in contention include alleged outdated equipment, mismanagement, corruption, and the concessioning of the plant. There are arguments that past governments might have been acting the script of the IMF, the World Bank, and international politics to derail Nigeria's steel development for industrialization. Now, how true is this argument? Now, what's the way out, especially with the recent heightened interest of the National Assembly in putting the Ajaokuta steel plant to productive use? These are some of the issues we'll be considering tonight on Nta Tuesday Live. Let's start off by introducing our guests. We'd like to welcome to this program Honorable Babali Bashir, who is Deputy Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on National Planning. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me today.
All right. We're also joined tonight by an engineer, Sumaila Abdullah Kaba. He is a sole administrator of the Ajaokuta Steel Company. He's a mechanical engineer. It's nice to have you join us.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Let me also welcome tonight another engineer, Abdullahi Also. He's former Director of Steel in the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. He is a metallurgical engineer. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're also joined tonight by Engineer Chinyerem Wamu, is a Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, a mechanical engineer and Chairman, Presidential Committee on Iron and Steel Development of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. That was in 2014. I'm glad to have you join us here.
My pleasure.
And also tonight we have Professor David Esezobo. He's a Professor of Extractive Metallurgy and Material Processing, former Head Department of Metallurgical and Material, University of Lagos. He's a former Chairman of the Nigerian Institution of Metallurgical Mining and Materials Engineering. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
Right. Tonight, it's the Ajaokuta Steel Company in focus and Nigeria's efforts at developing steel. But before we get into the discussion, it would be, appropriate to find out the state of Ajaokuta currently. And for that, let's ask the sole administrator of the company. You put us through.
Thank you. Ajaokuta Steel Project is built by the bank of the River Niger on a 24,000 hectares of land. A very viable project. For me, one of the lowest hanging fruit to emancipate this country. It's a gold mine, and when I got into Ajaokuta, I was wondering how we can be as a nation. After investing so much in these facilities, after what we have built is an integrated steel plant that has power plant in between, cement plant, fertilizer plant. You can go on and on. For the infrastructure level in Ajaokuta is enormous. Ajaokuta plant is not obsolete. I've moved around the plant. I've tried to run this plant dry. Ajaokuta plant is built on the blast furnace technology, which is the best technology still available around the world for steel making. The Americans, the Europeans are still building cement plant based on this technology.
Interesting so far. And so many issues to raise. And like you said, many issues we'll be asking our guests here to comment on what you've just said, that those companies were not in a position to run that plan. They didn't have the technical know-how, they didn't have the finance, and due process wasn't even followed. But let's come to Engineer Wamu. And let's get your take on the whole Ajaokuta saga.
Sure, I would have proposed that for us to take home, and for our believers, I mean our listeners, to take home something. We split this thing into sections. Where is Nigeria coming from as far as Ajaokuta is concerned? 1. Where is Nigeria now in terms of iron and steel production? 2. Where does Nigeria want to be, or should Nigeria be, in iron and steel production? How can Nigeria get there? In management, we like to sectionalize this thing so that we can understand where we are coming from, where we are going to, and how to get there. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, Ajaokuta is on a large expanse of land, 24,000 hectares. Can you correct me?
Very correct.
That's almost the size of a state in this country. There are 43 units, is that correct?
Correct.
40 have been completed. There has been this sing-song of 98% completion since 1994. And we are human beings. That plant is not one-off in the whole world. It's operating in India. It's operating, so many of them are in USA. They're operating in Singapore. Let me talk about Singapore. Ajaokuta was contracted 1979. Smile, is that correct?
Very good.
39 years today. Singapore got independence 1965 as a third world country. 2000, they moved to first world country. How many years? 35 years. And we are still building Ajaokuta. We are still building Ajaokuta. And we are talking about Ajaokuta. People say they are visiting Ajaokuta. How many times have some of us visited Ajaokuta? I want to be calm on this thing because it's not a good story to tell. It's a nation, and as human beings, that we should have such a project, invest so much money on it. I'm sure Cyril has been to Ajaokuta, and you've seen the plans. You see the area of land. How many housing units? 15?
10,000 houses.
No, I mean, you know, they are spread all over the place.
Yes.
They are not in one place.
Yes. Over 30 estates.
Okay. Did you hear it? 30 estates. And we are talking of providing employment for Nigerians. This steel plant, if it were operational, would have gone to 2.6 million tons. Since that is the second phase. I'm sure by now it would have been at 5.2 million metric tons. The plants in India, most of the blast furnaces in India actually about the same capacity, have upgraded. Therefore, they are employing more Indians. Is that correct? Indonesia commissioned a fertilizer plant by College in 1982. Nigeria commissioned one too. By 2017, Indonesia had about 20 fertilizer plants. Do they have 3 heads? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves. We should be asking our leaders. We should be asking you.
So these are leadership issues.
Well, thank you.
All right. You were going to cover it.
I have a feeling that some fellow Nigerians who are watching us talk are just laughing at us. Let them talk. Let them make noise. Because there are some, like he said, there are some people who are paid to make sure that their country does not move. I'm saying that before. There are people who, your brothers and sisters, who are paid to make sure that Nigeria does not move. The Honorable said that the problem started around 1983. And it strikes a tone in me because DAC was commissioned ahead of schedule, January 1982. Ahead of schedule, 3 months. The Germans were 3 months on the time schedule, ahead of schedule. Why was it done? We know that it was done because the West wanted to show that they can deliver steel ahead of the East. Anyway, I'm a bit, the Russians don't know who I am, so Putin cannot say that I'm supporting him. But this same technology is working in Russia today, huh? and elsewhere. We must ask ourselves, how did we get to stop funding this plant? Somebody mentioned the issue of handing over our plants to people who are not competent. Let me try to tell you the story of Mittal. Mittal family is a business family. I mean, they're into business. There are 2 Mittals, Pramod Mittal, ArcelorMittal. You must have heard of Arcelor steel plants. The biggest steel plant in the world as of today. Why could somebody hand over the steel industry to the one that is wanted for tax purposes in India? Go and check. Pramod is wanted for tax purposes in India. And that is the one you hand over Jokuta to. The bedrock of industrialization in Nigeria. That is the one you hand over DAC to.
All right. If there are worries about concessioning Ajaokuta yet again, the question would be, do Nigerians have the capacity to put that plant to use?
You wanted to say something?
I wanted just to say something, yeah.
Okay.
Because, you know, why are we actually shy away from inviting the original owner of the technology? That's the question. Why are we shying away from it?
You think it would be better to get the Russians to come back and complete what they started?
Why not invite them and, you know, ask them to complete the project on some terms? There are some the terms that one option is that they should complete the project, run, and recoup whatever they have spent a certain period of time. By that period, there will be a succession period where we can now also put in at the expiration of those either 10 years or 5 years, they leave. That's one option. Now the other option again, the other option. Why not? Okay, there are 40 units, as we earlier said, that are completed, that can really be unbundled into various industrial enterprises. We identified from a Nigerian Society of Engineers 6 of such. And then if we are still taking off concession, because he mentioned of money. And we also identified that, look, it's not necessary that the Nigerian government will actually put enough that money directly into the project. We identify also sources that can easily be, you know, make use of in this country.
Okay.
And that 6 industrial enterprises can then be concession to competent investors.
Okay.
Not as a monolithic unit, you concession the entire plant. It will not work.
Okay.
You made reference to having the manpower to run Ajaokuta. Did I get you right?
Yes, we have the capacity.
Okay, you said capacity. I suppose you are referring to manpower. There's one human being they call Dangote. He's building a 660,000 barrels per day refinery in Nigeria. We do know, and we've been to the plant at Lekki, that it's not going to use people from the moon to run it. It's going to use Nigerians. Many of them have been trained. Some are coming back from training. I always get disturbed when this issue of the we have the human beings. There are so many unemployed Nigerians. We must pay a price for our quixotic decisions to unbundle industries. It doesn't happen in any country. Can't sell all government assets and you'll still be walking the streets. It's criminal. People who did this thing should be held to account. Who have the human beings? Yes, true, some of them have left service in Ajokuta. But there are still some. I was there in August last year. And I still met a good number of them. We have the manpower to run Ajokuta. It will take what you call, and you will always call it in this studio, political will.
Thank you very much, Odori. And yes, Prof.
Yes, I wanted to clear one issue here.
Yes.
There is a difference between steel producer and steel builders.
Okay.
You see, you can have there are many steel producers, but no, you can only find few of them that can build. And that was what the mistake also with global infrastructure, whatever they call them, the India. Even when the real India was called upon, when they look at the nature of the Ajakuta Steel project, they said no, they hands off. So before he's talking about they have investors. Yes, you may have investors that are steel producer, but they may not be that competent in steel building. The other issue, although the time may not permit us in that concerning the litigation or the remote file concession, there wasn't an issue of ownership of the steel plant at all, right from the have been issue. What actually the only issue there is that pending the period of litigation, Nigeria will not be able to hand it over to another investor. That is just the issue that was there.
Well, you call those that matters, that will take decision. Let them decide and come up with concrete policy, not to have a jamboree. Policy makers, policy, not in terms of how do we fund it. Okay. Is government going to fund it? Yes. Are we going to concession it?
I'm looking here. When he says convene a summit, yes. I'm looking here at perhaps he means a summit of professionals who know. And we have some of you right here.
Of course, when you talk when we are talking about the policy makers, they will have the professionals that will give them the professional advice.
But you had policy makers in the past, you had professionals in the past, and look where it got us.
No. This is a critical national issue,
right?
And there is actually the need to, call for steel summit, national steel summit, where the professionals can be called upon, the stakeholders, and actually we bring out the roadmap. Although I have identified also some roadmap before we go.
Okay.
I will say some of them.
Right, yes. Because I was going to ask, for instance, has the Nigerian Society of Engineers made representation on this matter to the policy makers?
Yes, Nigerian Society of Engineers came up with the Metallurgical Industry Bill.
Right.
In 2014. It was submitted to the National Assembly and to the Ministry. It's a 69-page document, which I think you should try and read. We propose that the iron and steel industry be given a regulator. You see, the success we see in the telephony industry today is because ab initio, a body called NCC was set up. You would agree that NCC was not there to sell NITA. No, the NCC was there to make sure that before you come in as a player, you meet certain professional, financial, technical.
Right.
And so they license the few service providers that you have today. NCC can call you to order anytime if they see that you're getting beyond the red line. Nigerian Society of Engineers submitted this bill to the National Assembly proposing that we have a regulatory body. It's only the regulatory body that can say, yes, Pramod Mittal, you can handle steel industry in Nigeria, or you cannot. In that bill, we propose that we should have an upstream agency. Upstream meaning those who produce steel, those who produce the raw materials, and so on and so forth. And then we propose that there should be a downstream. Downstream includes the rolling mills, the foundries, and all those who use the output of the upstream industry. And then we propose that we should have health, safety, and this agency. And then we propose R&D. And then more importantly, at the end, we propose that there should be a metallurgical industry fund. Somebody talked about funding. Yes, we recognized years ago that you cannot fund a sector like the steel industry with government budget. Also is very right. So we proposed a metallurgical industry fund, and we stated the components of realizing that fund. And if we did that, if the Honorable, you were in the 17th district, I'm sure you saw our proposal. Yeah. You saw the bill. Yeah. But they killed it. They killed it. So it's not like the professionals, we feel the pinch because it's our people who work in these industries. And we know the details.
Okay. Well, I also know now that you have a bill, SB 260. Yeah. But it's the old one, not the Nigeria version, NNC version. Yeah. That is what we have. Yeah.
I think. Are you done?
Oh wait, I just wanted to add to that this establishment of this agency and commission will not cost the federal government no kobo.
Yes.
Because we took into cognizance those acts that are already there, those that have been already promulgated. Also some of those establishments on ground, like National State Council, like Nigerian Methodological
Research
Center, and all that. Do you understand? And under that Methodological Enterprise Fund or bank, we also identify areas actually where you can really get the fund.
I think
I'm happy the Honorable is here.
Is that the way? What's the way forward now? Those who feel that yes, it's good to mete out sanctions to those who have been found wanting, but there are also those who caution that dissipating all energies on doing that might also jeopardize your moving forward, because you will spend all your time and energy fighting and you're not looking forward in reviving. What do you say to that?
Yeah, but I have the hope in the administration of Buhari, because actually why he was voted in is for a change. And change has to actually start. Someone said that change has to start from those that, first of all, let us even identify them. I remember there was also the EFCC report that up to date is still under the carpet and has not been released concerning the concession exercise on Nyamco. Nyamco is in Takwe. And that needs to also be exposed, and let's see the perpetrator and those who were involved. You see, there's one issue before I forgot. Now, you know, Nigeria made progress when we have the Nigeria Steel Development Agency. And as soon as it was scrapped, we were making step backward, up to date. And I also want to correct one impression. The federal government stopped funding Ajakuta since 1994. Let them tell me if I'm wrong. Since 1994. The only thing they are spending, you mentioned it, just for maintenance, personnel costs. You know, let me tell you, the Ajakuta, we have structure on top, on the surface. The one below, wow. The one below is even more complex than those on top. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So we really need, what I'm advocating, that the Ajakuta Steel project should be taken away from the purview of the ministry.
All right.
And, you know, given to an independent directorate or authority under the auspices of the presidency.
Okay.
Yes,
Would you go with that?
I agree with that.
The
That's the position of Nigerian side of it.
All right. Take it away from the ministry.
Yes, because the ministry will always kill any progress plan with its bureaucracy. Put it under an agency under the presidency and you see what progress will be.
I always say this on this program, that no one program can take care of all the issues. We start something and then the discussion continues. At some other point, we hope to take a second look at this, even as the matter of this still complex stays on the front burner of national discourse. But here, we would have to say thank you to our guests for finding time to be here and availing us of the so many angles of this national project. So we'd like to say thank you very much to Honorable Babali Bashir, Deputy Chairman, the House of Representatives Committee on National Planning. Thank you for being here. Now, for the sole administrator, you know, he has answered that before. It's not a military. He is a mechanical engineer. He's not a military man. He has his mandate there. Engineer Sumaila Abdullah Kaba, sole administrator. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we also say thank you to Engineer Abdullahi Also, former Director of Steel in the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development.
it's a pleasure. Thank you, Cyril.
And we also appreciate Engineer Chinyerem Wamu, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. We thank you for being here. And Professor Esezobo, Professor of Extractive Metallurgy and Material Processing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Right. And thanks to you too for being part of the program. Next week we'll reach you again on Nta Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Bye for now.